something else I gotta tell you.
It's going out to the one. I hate
Guys, what is up? Welcome to another episode of Maximilian Must Know. Today we've got a review of the latest from the House of Imaginary Authors. This one is called Slow Explosions. Now, full disclosure, I was one of the lucky reviewers who did receive my bottle from Imaginary Authors, so I will not be giving a number rating on this one. You guys know my love of Imaginary Authors. My first collaboration as some creative input was with 4160 Tuesdays. I'm currently working with Christy Michelle at House of Matriarch for my next project. I so badly want to work with Josh at Imaginary Authors on something for the future. If you're looking for some brand backstory, please do check out the video that I did on Memoirs of a Trespasser, which is the first scent that I purchased from this house. Since then, I've bought A City on Fire, and I received Every Storm a Serenade for a group review. Love memoirs. 4 or 5 of my friends actually have purchased Memoirs of a Trespasser. Love City on Fire. Did fall in love with Every Storm a Serenade at first. It's grown on me quite a bit. For me, it feels a little bit short of the originality of scents like Cape Heartache and The Soft Lawn and Falling into the Sea. And those, ironically, are the 3 left on my to purchase list from this house. But we're here to talk about this one today. This one was released this year, Slow Explosions. It is available on the website of Imaginary Authors. You can purchase a 50 ml bottle for $95 or a 2 milliliter sample for $6. The notes on this one, guys, are saffron, rose absolute, leather apple, benzoin, cashmere, and apura night market. The Imaginary author who inspired this scent is Gwen K. Vrooman, and the quote behind this one is, "I was lost, aimless, and depressed. Now I'm only 2 of those things. I feel that way all the time." Presentation has changed big time, guys, on these. Now you actually get a box that looks like a book. It's cardboard, but it's beautiful. You can stick your fragrance right in there and let it sit on your bookshelf. When these fragrances first came out, I think me and Rye Frags 34 had the suggestion to do this, and I think Josh had this idea before either of us suggested it to him. But I always wanted to see this in a future world where Josh is the CEO of a major conglomerate, including Imaginary Authors, because he's just a brilliant guy. I'd actually like to see books made and cut out. I think that would be the ultimate presentation, and I'd keep paying more for that. But goddamn, is this the right way to go? And I was giddy when I saw this, so I love this so much. Your bottle has these sort of explosions, a hand, the name of the scent, and then the notes. So and a beautiful cap with IA punched in and a little bit of detailing, and then even in the inside you have that in a gorgeous sprayer that's also been much improved. So the presentation, major step up here. So as soon as I sprayed this one on, I was like, oh my god, this reminds me of something that I can't put my finger on. And it took me a while, but this reminds me so much of a fragrance that I love, penned by Bertrand Duchaufour for L'Artisan Parfumé, called Traversée du Bosphore. And that fragrance, just so you guys know, has notes of apple, saffron, rose, and leather. So composition-wise, these are close, but there are some big differences we'll break down a bit later. For now, let's just talk about this one, though. I really love the simplicity of this fragrance. I've seen a lot of reviews and heard a lot of reviews where they talked about complexity. I really disagree. I think what makes this one great for me is it's very, very simple. Um, for me, it's solely about four notes: saffron, apple, rose, and leather. And here's the interesting thing: the apple isn't really even there. Josh has said in an interview I saw with, I think, Man Loves Cologne, that he got some really great saffron CO2 or saffron extract, and the apple note is sort of a byproduct of that. And it's a super pleasing accord. For me, sometimes saffron can come off as a little bit animalic in a scent like Icon Absolute by Dunhill. Here, it's super authentic. It's sweet. It's fruity, and that's where you get this red apple note, and it's brightened up by the rose, and then grounded very much so by the leather. While this is a sweet scent, I would stop short of calling it gourmand. It's not a gourmand scent. To me, even though I haven't mentioned oriental notes per se, it's more oriental, but it straddles that line really well. Now, as this one dries down, it does become resinous, but I don't know if that's the benzoin or the evolution of saffron and rose. I would really say this is, for the most part, a linear scent, but I mean that in a good way. The saffron sticks around. If anything, I would say the sweetness dies down a little bit as it evolves, and the leather starts to peek its head out more. And maybe at that point some spice becomes more prominent, but the four notes that I mentioned are the ones you really want to think through when deciding on whether this is a scent that you want, because those four notes for me really dominate this one. Performance is really good, a little bit softer than some of the imaginary author scents that I really like. This lasts on my skin as long as Memoirs of a Trespasser and City on Fire. It doesn't project the same way those do, but I think those are meant to be a little bit more assertive. There needed to be some restraint showed here, or I think this fragrance would be silly. And while I think this fragrance is just ideal for spring and fall, you could definitely rock this one during summer nights, and I think you could wear this one in the winter as well. And this is also unisex. It's a perfect fragrance for a man or woman to share. I really believe that. In comparisons, if you're looking for something like this, or cheaper or more expensive, or just can't get this one, there's two scents I can compare this one to and feel good about that comparison. The first one, as I said, is Traversy. But there are two main differences. Traversy doesn't have a ton of rose, even though that note is listed. Instead, with Traversy, you're going to get more iris. So to me, that one's about apple, saffron, iris, and leather, and it's way more gourmand because that one has a nougat note in there. And it's meant to actually smell like a Turkish delight candy, so it's a little bit sweeter, and there's iris. The apple's also way more prominent. So if you like this one, but you want something sweeter, a little more feminine, and a little cheaper, that might be a good look for you. I think you should probably try both and decide which one you like better. They're both really good. You might decide you want both, and of course, I think they're both really worthy. The other one you might want to look at, and it's hard to get this one, I think, at this point, is another imaginary author scent called Air of Despair. I only have a sample of that one, but that one has a very dominant saffron note, and this to me smells like a more complete version of that fragrance. That scent's really nice, but it's very minimalist, almost like a deconstructed saffron and musk scent. This has a lot more oomph. And as I said, I think that one's a limited edition and no longer available. So if someone was trying to talk you into buying this one, I think they would tell you that it's beautiful. It's very different from most of what's out there. The combo of saffron and rose and apple and leather is gorgeous, and it can work in most seasons. Great performer. Presentation is just a conversation piece, which is amazing when you can get a fragrance that achieves that. Very friendly fragrance. This should not be polarizing, should get you some compliments, and can be a unisex scent. Very versatile as well. A little bit of a Swiss Army knife here. Cons. If someone was trying to talk you out of this one, I think they might say it does smell a lot like Traversy, Dubois 4 by L'Artisan, and do you need both? Price went up a little bit on these, but the presentation stepped up big time, and people like me said we'd be fine paying a premium for that presentation, and I'll go further and say I'd pay more of a premium for a better even presentation. But the question I think that we'll find out, I guess, eventually is, will everyone be okay with that? Other than that, guys, it's very hard to find fault with this, or what just Josh does in general. I mean, this guy's clearly a genius. He clearly has a very, I don't want to say myopic because that implies a little bit of hubris, but a very distinct vision for what he wants to do, and he's really pursuing that. And I love that. And as I said, man, God, do I hope to be the first reviewer to collaborate with Josh and put my vision out there, because I just can't, I can't convey the amount of respect I have for this guy in a video. And I'll be honest, the first 5 or 6 fragrances that Josh did were probably, they were probably my favorites. But, I think these next couple ones, Every Storm and this one, I looked at them at first and I was sort of like, oh, I don't like these as much as those. And I just feel like that's because he's become a little bit more savvy in making better fragrances. And for someone like me, well, they're not as daring. They're just better all around. They're not daring. I don't want to, let me backtrack there quickly. But they're just better sense, and those first ones kind of shocked me. And what I'm actually seeing here is a perfumer that has like a vision, knows what he wants to do, and is executing it perfectly. It doesn't feel as jumbled maybe as the first 5 or 6 that came out. And I just am so excited to see what else comes out of this house, because these are now very professional scents that can hang with the big boys as far as I'm concerned. Certainly in composition, certainly in materials, and now certainly in presentation. So I'm not going to give this a number rating. You guys know, obviously, I don't do that when I get a bottle for free, but check this one out, guys. That's all I could say. Any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Josh, thank you so much. We'll be back later next week. Actually, I think we're done this week, though, but we'll be back later next week with more videos. Guys, you already know what it is. My name is Maximilian. I'm sorry.
Fratello beats. It's good.